This is a movie with Deadpool and Wolverine in it. What the hell could possibly go wrong with that?
Everything. Everything can go wrong with it. Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris. That's Bill. And today we are watching X-Men Origins Wolverine from 2009. So, Bill, what did you think of X-Men Origins Wolverine?
I'm of a few minds of this movie, Christopher. On one hand, circa 2009, as someone who liked the character of Deadpool, I was offended to a deep level. And as a fan of Wolverine as a character, I was also slightly offended. And as a fan of the X-Men in general, well, I was just sort of...
I don't hate this movie, really at all. In fact, I think most of it is actually pretty good until, the end. But there's, a bunch of, little things in the movie that I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
There's parts of this movie that I enjoy, and then there's parts of this movie where I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I like the opening of the movie. I like seeing, the credits with, Wolverine and Sabretooth, fighting through a bunch of wars.
That's kind of universally considered the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, can that just be the movie?
Yeah, my one, nitpick with this is, this is when, I guess, they officially, had to give Wolverine an age. Where, before this movie, it was, kind of a mystery of, how old he actually was.
Well, there was the comic origin that came first.
Yeah, but, that only came because they were making this movie. At least that's what I've heard.
I don't think so, because...
Really?
No, because the comic book started in 2001.
Huh. I don't know. Maybe I got misinformed then.
Clearly, because this movie came out in 2009, years later.
Yeah. I don't know.
X2 hadn't even come out yet.
Wow. I guess, well, whatever then. What do I know? I was lied to. I was lied to by a smelly nerd somewhere.
Clearly.
But anyway. Well, I guess they already revealed Wolverine's age then way back when, and they were kind of elaborating on this. I don't know if in the comic they had the whole Wolverine and Sabretooth being brothers.
There's a character, I think it was implied to be Sabretooth, but then I think it was later shown to just be somebody else.
Yeah, I don't remember that comic too well. I think there was a character named Dog.
Yeah, that's
something.
Yeah, that's the character,
okay.
Yeah. But the movie just makes it Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Straight up. Which, yeah, I can understand why, some people were because, it is kind of interesting to have the idea of oh, you don't know why Sabretooth hates Wolverine. He just does.
Yeah.
I kind of love that aspect in the comic where Wolverine's birthday, he just gets attacked by Sabretooth, or Sabretooth does something horrible to people he cares about. It just happened recently, I think. I think a bunch of, expendable younger X-Men just got murdered by Sabretooth.
Yeah. Sabretooth is a pretty cool villain. I feel like he's never really been portrayed correctly in the movies. This is the closest they got to him being kind of right.
He's only been in the two movies. He's just he's mostly quiet brute henchman in the first one.
Yeah.
This one he's got more of a character, so it's he's closer to the character, but he doesn't look like the character really. But the other one looks like the character, but doesn't do anything really but fight.
Yeah, and who knows if they ever will go full comic book Sabretooth with the weird lion mane thing on his back and whatever. Also, Sabretooth is sometimes portrayed being gigantic, but he's kind of just a normal guy.
Well, they're trying to big him up, but I think Liv Schreiber might actually be shorter than Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman's a big man.
It's definitely a big man.
Yeah, I will say I do like this movie for the most part until as the movie goes on, though, the problems become more apparent.
Yeah. And
it does have a lot of, instances in the movie that, they don't really explain certain things. And, one of the things that's, kind of, weird in the movie is just, the movie begins, Wolverine, James Howlett, right? And then, after, he leaves Weapon X, all of a sudden he's Logan. And they don't really, tell you, why is he Logan now? Is it, oh, I guess he just took a different name to hide from the government.
It's not explained.
Yeah.
It's weird because the whole first act of the movie just feels like it's just constantly just gotta get to the next thing, gotta get to the next thing. Because it's we get the prologue with little kid Wolverine.
Yeah.
With the where he's got his dad that kind of looks like Hugh Jackman, but he's not his real dad.
No.
It's the guy that looks like Liv Schreiber.
Yeah.
And then we jump ahead to them getting not killed during the Vietnam War, and they get recruited by a young striker who, to say, I like him better than the other young striker from the other movies.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He's better.
Yeah, just definitely better. I think old Striker is the best, though, but this is a good take on young Striker. The other guy was so bland and just nothing.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Stryker was in like some of the other X-Men movies.
He pops up in, I think it was Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, and he doesn't do shit.
That's right.
He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Just like I don't know, just waste of one of the movie's better villains. And they get recruited, and then I don't know. It feels like a lot of time has gone by when we see them on that mission. Everyone on the plane feels pretty familiar all of a sudden. So it's like, this is not their first mission.
Yeah.
So how much time has gone by? We don't know.
That's the thing that confuses me about the movie too, because I'm like, okay, like, so like, I know definitely part of this movie takes place in the 70s, but then it's just like, is it like the 80s now, or
I would
like
say
what is going on?
Once we jump past the last time jump after he quits that Team X, it's whatever year the 3 Mile Island incident took place in.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like plot wise that are just like weird in the movie, like the whole like thing of Wolverine Logan was like on his own for 6 years, and then for 6 years that lady he was with, if he was even with her for that full 6 years, was like a government plant.
We don't know how long they were together.
Yeah,
because we're just suddenly thrown into them being a couple. It's definitely been a little bit.
Yeah,
because they share a home.
Yeah,
they have like a routine.
The community knows them.
Yeah, they're very much committed. So they've been together for like, I guess, a good year at the very least. All while Stryker's experimenting on not Emma Frost because retcons. But at the time of this movie's release, it is Emma Frost.
It is Emma Frost, yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
I mean, it's a lot of, the X-Men movies, especially of, the later era, they kind of played fast and loose with continuity. Even this one, like, being like an origin movie, it's kind of like hard to like fit it into like the original trilogy.
It's one little thing that always kind of like bothered me / maybe go, why did you even bother with that? They go out of their way to show us getting his leather jacket that he wears in the other movies.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves it on Gambit's plane and never gets it back. So how'd he get up? Did he just get another one?
Yeah.
I mean, one thing if at the end of the movie, just jumping ahead, if he went with Gambit, he keeps the jacket. He doesn't go with Gambit. He goes a different way by himself, and that jacket's just on Gambit's plane. So he just gets another jacket that just happens to look like that somehow.
You know what bothers me about Gambit in this movie, too?
He's not in the movie?
2 years I rotting in that hole, and I never...
Well, that, and like, I think the guy playing him is okay, but it's like, they didn't give Gambit like the black red eyes that he's supposed to have. And
do his eyes glow when he uses his powers? I don't remember. I don't think they do.
I don't know, but he's supposed to have like, black and red eyes.
They weren't going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that would maybe be hard to do. I feel like his powers are like utilized incorrectly in this movie too. Like, it almost seems like he has like telekinesis the way he like shuffles the cards, and they don't really show him like kind of like charging the cards.
No, we see him charge the card.
Yeah, but it just doesn't seem right. It seems like it should be more powerful.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a real nitpick.
He's barely in the movie. It's almost not worth getting upset about.
Yeah, and
unless you're like a huge fan of Gambit. Then get upset.
And I think the guy that plays Gambit is fine. Like, I would have loved to see Gambit in an actual like X-Men movie, but
he kept getting cut out of them.
I know.
This is the one he got in.
I feel like the Fox X-Men movies, and I might have said this before, we've been waiting for the X-Men to become the X-Men for like 20 years. But
I think we might be getting there.
Yeah.
They're starting to wear their outfits at least.
Seriously.
I don't know. This movie's weird because, I mean, one, it's got a weird title, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they were developing the movie, it was just being called Wolverine. And they announced that they were developing a Magneto movie, which since at one point was started being called X-Men Origins Magneto.
Which sounded amazing.
And then they added X-Men Origins to the Wolverine movie. I'm like, oh, so they're just going to brand all these movies X-Men Origins.
Which is fine.
But then this movie didn't do that great, so they just scrapped that.
Yeah.
This movie, I felt like, was trying to set up a whole bunch of other movies. We get Gambit. Maybe we'll get Gambit Adventures. X-Men Origins Gambit, huh, people?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do X-Men Origins Deadpool. But you ruined Deadpool. Shut up. No, he didn't. We made him fine. You all should just like it. It's cool. He's got the triangles on his eyes, just like in the comics.
Yeah.
They even kind of tee off a different X-Men First Class with Professor X showing up to save Cyclops and those other kids.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in this movie. Like, the inclusion of Cyclops is like...
It's so random.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, oh, great. So Cyclops gets underutilized in another X-Men movie. Great.
Fox always did Cyclops dirty.
He really did.
Yeah. But, you know, I guess, like, getting to, like, the Wolverine movie and everything, you know, we see, like, I guess, like, the Weapon X team. For the most part, it's like, yeah, some of them I know. It's like, you know, Blob's in there. It's like, okay, that's interesting.
They got his powers completely wrong.
Yeah.
He's just a strong guy that got fat.
Yeah.
It's not his powers. It's not what he is.
No. I forgot the name of the Will.I.Am character, but he can teleport.
I think his code name is Wraith.
Okay.
I forget the regular name, his, like, real name, but
Yeah.
I think his, like, comic name is Wraith. But he's like a minor character who I think is long dead in the comics too.
Yeah. We've got, you know, Wade Wilson, who, you know, becomes Deadpool, which we'll get to. We'll get to.
There's a whole long spiel about Deadpool, so we
Yeah.
just circle back to that.
And we got Zero, who I don't really remember too well from, like, anything, but, like, I think I remember seeing his, like, toy being on, like, clearance back in, like, when they made, like, X-Men toys of every character, which they still do. And it's just like, here's a Toy Biz Zero, like,
And then there's
who
the guy.
may or may not be, like, involved with Big Hero 6 at
What?
some point. Yeah, just because, like, I'm like, I don't know for sure, but, like, you know, Big Hero 6 is technically, like, an X-Men property.
I knew it was a Marvel thing.
Yeah, it's, like, connected to, like, Silver Samurai and stuff. And, like, I think all those characters are supposed to be mutants. Like,
Well,
so.
I'm pretty sure.
And it takes place in Japan, and I'm just like, he may or may not be involved with that, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know anything about it. I just knew it was a Marvel property, and they kind of just like, other than like a Stan Lee cameo, just kind of like didn't like advertise it as such.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's connected to, like, X-Men in a weird way. And maybe it's only connected through X-Men because Silver Samurai is involved in it, because it's Japan. But,
Okay.
like...
I don't know.
Not the Disney movie. That Disney movie's like a totally different version, but, like, you know, the original comic book version.
Well, they couldn't use Silver Samurai in the movie if that
Oh,
was
yeah.
something, because you know it was
Yeah.
before they bought Fox.
Definitely. But whatever. I mean, it's weird because, you know, the world of X-Men alone is, like, as big as, like, the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of characters, and they have been on many teams.
And unlike Sony with their Spider-Man, where they're just scraping for any possible things, there was a wealth of characters to exploit with the X-Men. It's amazing they only did a handful of offshoots.
Yeah. Because, like, they had, like, a lot of, like, Marvel's heavy hitters, you know.
I mean, they were only just starting to really expand outwards. Like, we were getting Wolverine movies, we were getting Deadpool movies. They were like, all right, now we got the New Mutants. They kept trying to do a different Gambit.
Yeah.
With, what's-his-face? Channing Tatum.
Tatum.
The Gambit that never was.
Which they have that, like, infamous picture of, like, here's our, like, Fox Marvel universe with, like, Channing Tatum, like, in, like, the Fan Forstic cast and, like, the X-Men cast and stuff. And it's like, are they making a crossover movie? And it's just like, oh, they can't do that.
I think there's a script, apparently, that they wrote at some point.
Okay.
So it was talked about, but for whatever reason, they just never did it.
Yeah. They just couldn't get it off the ground. Yeah, it's weird, you know. We see all, like, the Weapon X stuff. We don't really see Wolverine, like, be with that Weapon X that long. It's like he immediately, like, they just show him, like, immediately being like, yeah, this is not cool. I don't want to be part of this anymore.
Yeah, he quits Team X. Like, it feels like they just did the one mission, but also you only see the one mission. It felt like maybe there was more. I don't know, but that's like a 5-minute scene. We're done. Move on. Jump ahead.
Yeah, because, like, it's really weird. You know, he moves on. you know, it's like 6 years later, he's living in, you know, a small town as a lumberjack, but it's like, you know, like the whole movie could have just been like Wolverine doing terrible shit as like a member of Weapon X, gets disenchanted by the whole thing, being like, I'm leaving. Stricker being like, no, you're not, because we're going to do fucking experiments on you now. And then, like, you know, the horrible experiments, and then him escaping Weapon X. And that could have been X-Men Origins Wolverine. But
Yeah,
it's like too complicated, all the stuff that happens in this movie, because there's like weird time jumps, and you're like, okay, like they really just kind of really get to him having the metal claws like kind of like too fast. And also they don't really like portray how like terrible it's supposed to be. They're just like, this is gonna hurt a lot, but like you're gonna be fine after this.
hey, I mean, like the movie just doesn't stop. I mean, I looked, with credits, it's an hour and 47,
Yeah.
and it feels like, yeah, we're just keep going. No time to stop. Keep going.
Yeah. It's just like, here's this time jump. You remember this character? He's fat now.
Remember this character? He's dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. One of the other Weapon X people.
Yeah.
Electric Man.
Something.
Yeah.
I forget.
Who knows? I mean, isn't Lady Deathstrike supposed to be in Weapon X too?
Yeah, I mean, this is not. This is based on a group called Team-X, which is different from Weapon X. I think. I'm not sure because I know they call them Team-X and like the materials and the press materials and stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Wolverine. That's the Weapon X stuff. Like with brainwashed Logan and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, like
Deadpool, he comes later usually.
definitely.
Like long after Wolverine broke out and stabbed a bunch of people.
Yeah. You know, one thing too, like, I mean, like, they eventually did it in live action, which is, like, crazy to think about, but, like, you know, Wolverine didn't have his, like, crazy, like, helmet that, like, he has when he's being experimented on,
Yeah.
but they eventually did do that, which is, like, wow.
Well, they were trying to do what they showed in the flashes in, like, X2.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, well, he didn't show him with the helmet. We really can't. Can we work that in? No, we're not going to do that. So we'll just skip all that. He's not getting brainwashed. There's the weird comment where it's like, all right, the experiment worked. Erase his memory. How?
Yeah. Neuralize him. Do we have that? Shut up.
Well, there's a deleted scene from, like, an alternate version of, like, once Wolverine finds out he's been hoodwinked this entire time, he's like, the anguish. I can't stand it. Well, if you get in this machine, I could just erase your memory and you won't remember any of it.
Okay.
Yeah, he just does it.
Oh, man.
Then he just breaks out to fight Sabretooth, I think. That was like one version of events. But yeah, shocker, this movie had production problems. Go figure. This movie had such production problems that for some reason, when the director was away from set, the executives had a set repainted because they couldn't agree on a paint job, apparently.
Wow.
Right?
I mean, yeah, this movie had a lot of stuff working against it. I mean, it was one of those movies that, like, was leaked, like, pretty early, too.
A couple of months before this movie came out, an unfinished work print was leaked out.
Yeah.
And it is... Look, I've seen it. I saw it at the time. I still saw this movie in theaters because I wanted to see what the final version looked like. But it was basically the movie we got.
Yeah.
The only difference is there was like one or two lines ADR'd and one or two lines cut. Like one line, half a line for Deadpool was cut out, and a Stryker line where during the Team X mission where he's just like, Victor, take point. That was cut, and I'm just like, why'd you cut that? Because then Victor just kind of walks off and climbs a building and just stands there for no reason.
Just like, look how cool I look. I'm like Dracula.
I mean, it was kind of an interesting watch because it's like it's an unfinished movie, so you get a lot of tent music, a lot of green screens, a lot of wires that are still there, a lot of just polygons and stuff.
Yeah. It's also like the movie doesn't really do a good job of like framing the whole like, why does Sabretooth like hate Wolverine? And it's just like, well, it's because like Wolverine's powers are better than his.
It's so weird because like they kind of trigger his like start of turning against his brother, being like Wolverine walking away from the team. But Wolverine's literally like, look, I'm out of here. You gonna come?
Yeah.
Like he could have been like, I don't want to, but well, where you go, I go.
Yeah, it's just like, hey man, I helped you fight all those soldiers when
It's like, I
you
told
did
you to,
like some bad shit.
I told you to come.
Yeah,
You could have came. Why are you mad at me?
yeah. So like the
You could have
whole
called.
yeah, them being like enemies is just like kind of like, well, Sabretooth's bad and that's why.
He hates Wolverine because the script says he has to hate Wolverine.
Yeah, and like the thing is like Wolverine abandoned him, I guess. And also Wolverine's healing factor is stronger than Sabretooth's. And Sabretooth can't get adamantium injected into his like bones.
And he can't take the fact that the adamantium now makes Wolverine stronger than him.
Yeah.
And it just bothers him
Yeah.
so much.
It is kind of funny that like, they give him the adamantium and then immediately he escapes and they're like, kill him. And it's just like, you just made him indestructible. And I think like in the movie they even say that. Like,
It's like, we'll find him and kill him. It's like, you just spent $500 million making him indestructible.
yeah. It's also funny how it's just like, remember that rock in Africa? It's like, well, we derived a metal from that rock in Africa. A metal? Are you talking about vibranium? No, this is adamantium. We can't say vibranium.
I always took that the implication was that was vibranium.
Yeah.
Because, they're in Africa, it's a meteorite, and like the guy says the place it came from was sacred. I always took that as like a little subtle nod to Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the deal is with the adamantium in the comics. I think it has something to do with vibranium. I don't even know if it's like a synthetic vibranium.
I don't know if it's like a synthetic vibranium, but I know like adamantium is like an alloy that was created.
Yeah.
Whereas vibranium comes from a
yeah, it's
meteor.
just like an element. Adamantium is made, but it's a cool name though, adamantium.
Yes.
Wolverine, he's got to have his shiny claws, and
Sometimes too shiny.
Yeah, and sometimes like too big.
There's that one infamous scene where he's like first looking at him in the bathroom of, well, I just call him Ma and Pa Kent.
Yeah.
Though I think they might be loosely based on a couple of characters from that Alpha Flight team.
Okay.
For some reason.
Man, that would have been insane if they like just were like, we're gonna have Wolverine in Alpha Flight. You guys don't know it yet, but Puck is awesome.
But he's looking at the claws, and it's for some reason it's terrible CGI. It looks horrible. Instead of like just using the practical claws, which would have looked fine.
Yeah.
It's this bad, almost cartoonish looking claws.
They're like too big. They're like sparking and stuff.
And I would say mostly through the rest of the movie, the claws generally look fine.
Yeah.
But that one shot is horrible.
It's a weird thing.
And I've read that they didn't use the practical claws because someone was like, oh, those look too fake.
I don't know.
God!
I remember the practical claws like broke a lot too.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But maybe that was only on that like first X-Men movie, because I think I remember seeing a take of like, Hugh Jackman having the claws out and then like they just like break. And then like it's just like, oh, like.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the hero claws, the stunt claws,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I still like the movie, but like there are problems. Like the Wolverine stuff is good, but like, man, the Deadpool stuff. Like,
This was before Deadpool was really well known.
yeah.
He was only just starting to break out into popularity, like slowly growing. And this movie happened. Like Ryan Reynolds, perfect casting. The little banter we get, it's like, yeah, it's good casting.
Yeah.
And then they turn him into Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and at the beginning too, like, his banter with like, Stryker is pretty good. It's very like, yeah, this is like Deadpool, like, he's just like, you look very nice today, Captain. Like,
Okay. People are dead.
I think the thing with the swords and him deflecting the bullets is like a little too weird, but
I think that's sort of like supposed to be his mutant ability, that he's got like hyper reflexes or some nonsense
Okay.
like that.
yeah, it's portrayed weird, and that could have just been like a limitation of the time. The scene where he cuts the bullet in half though is like cool as shit. Like, but like when he's just like going through the room and he's just kind of like twirling the swords around, it's kind of like, oh, this is silly, but I do like it still.
And then the Weapon 11 the pool, the dead pool.
Yeah.
I needed your powers for the pool.
The what?
The mutant killer. Deadpool.
The eye lasers and the teleporting.
They hint at it when like
claw,
you know,
like-
Striker's like, you would be the perfect soldier if it wasn't for that mouth of yours.
And
And
he
then
sews it shut.
yeah, and it's just like, what is this? This is so like edgelordy and stupid. I mean, you know, the other thing that always like bothered me too about like Barakapool is like they gave him the Wolverine claws, except it's like, you know, his katanas, but they like come out of his arm and they're like way too long, and it's just like,
So,
like,
can you just like walking like this?
yeah, he just can't bend
Like,
his
what-
arms.
I mean, I get Stryker wouldn't give a shit about him being comfortable because he's a robot zombie at that point.
Yeah,
Still weird.
yeah. It's also weird he has like the Cyclops eye beams, which I'm like, I don't think Deadpool has that power.
Definitely not.
And he has like the teleporting because Deadpool can teleport when he has the belt.
Yeah, he has a teleport belt sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for a while, but he
Yeah.
used to.
This movie came out when like the Deadpool and Cable comics were like really hitting, right?
Yeah, around that time. I think they might have been winding down at this point, though.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, he wasn't that well known, I'll admit. He'd only been in a couple of video games and, like Ultimate Alliance and crap like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think like Ultimate Alliance he like showed up in and it was like a big deal. It was just like, whoa. Like
well,
Deadpool
that's-
was like Red Spider-Man.
That was the first.
People.
That was the first place I ever saw him.
Yeah.
Guy I was playing with, what picked him to play with, and I was just like, "Who the hell's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Deadpool. He's pretty cool," and he looked cool, so I used him a couple times, and he was funny as hell. Like, they gave him a lot of funny shit to say in the game, and I was like, "This character's awesome." So I started like looking into the character. He's like, "Oh, he breaks the fourth wall. That's kind of fun." And I started. And right before I started reading comics, I saw like the first image of Ryan Reynolds from the movie, and I just seen him like a red shirt with a flak vest, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks for the X-Men movies. They don't put anybody in their costumes.
Yeah.
And then I actually like start reading like Deadpool comics, and I realized, wait a minute, no, he has to have the mask because he's all fucked up looking.
Yeah.
That's like part of his identity.
You know, speaking of games, X-Men Origins Wolverine has a pretty kick-ass video game.
It
though.
does.
It's better than the movie.
Yes, it is.
And I wish it had, like,
It's-
the movie did some of the cool shit the video game does. Like the scene where Wolverine jumps on the helicopter, which does happen in this movie. But he takes the pilot and just lifts him up and his head gets cut off by the helicopter blades. It's ridiculous and cool.
It's a fun hack and slash. It's rated M.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's a good game, man.
Yeah.
Like, way better than the movie. And it's just like, man. And
How
eventually...
how common's that?
Yeah. I mean, eventually we get a kick-ass, like, R-rated Wolverine, but, like, you know, took a while. But this movie could be so much more. And I guess that's, like, the disappointment about it.
Yeah. It's had 2 post-credit scenes that would alternate depending on your screening. I don't know if you remember that. They did a weird gimmick with that, where you didn't know what post-credit scene was going to be attached to the movie.
Oh, okay.
Though all versions seem to end with the decapitated Barakapool reaching for its head and the eyes open up and it looks at the audience and goes, shh. But then there was another one with Wolverine in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess the plan was to do a direct sequel to this set in Japan. But when this wasn't super well received, they're like, well, we still want to do Wolverine in Japan. We'll just set it somewhere. We'll just put it over here.
It's a direct sequel to X3 instead.
Yes.
Which makes sense, and that movie is way better.
Yes.
You
And,
know?
and it's got a pretty cool unrated cut.
Yeah, but X-Men Origins Wolverine, it's a bit rough.
It is funny that because of the way this movie is, the Wolverine trilogy, it just gets better.
Yeah,
It's like the worst is the first and the best is the third.
yeah.
No other trilogy's like that, because usually by the time you reach the third film, it's like, not as good.
Yeah, and it's so weird too, because when you think about the Wolverine trilogy like this, it's just like, yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine, it starts off good, but then kind of becomes bad, and it makes you question things. And then X-Men, just the Wolverine, is really good until like the very end, where you're like, why is he fighting this robot?
And even then, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And then you get Logan, which is freaking incredible.
Yeah,
Which is just a great movie.
yeah. But
I mean, it's kind of cool that each Wolverine movie is just kind of a standalone movie from different points in his life.
yeah, it's just cool. And Wolverine's a cool character, and I hope we see more Wolverine stuff
Well,
because
I mean, he's back.
yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, Marvel finally has their A-list characters back, so we'll see what happens.
Look, but we're getting the X-Men 97 cartoon will hopefully be good. Deadpool and Wolverine will better be good. You got
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman Wolverine in a movie that's not this.
It's true.
It's not this. For a long time, it always kind of bothered me that, like, I got over the Barakapool thing because we got the real Deadpool movies. They're
Yeah.
great. They completely bury this version of Deadpool in some hilarious ways. He literally goes back in time and kills that version. It's great. It's like
Yeah.
it's one of 2 times the superior version of a character literally kills the inferior version. It's Deadpool killing Barakapool and Godzilla killing Zilla. Like, it was the only times that have happened.
Yeah.
And I love it. And just the fact that now it's like, okay, it's still kind of sat badly with me. And it's like, it sucks that, like, this is the only Deadpool and Wolverine I'm ever going to get, especially with Hugh Jackman. And now
Yeah.
it's Hugh Jackman and he's wearing the costume and everything. And it's going to be rated R. They're going to stab each other, Chris.
It's gonna be cool.
They're going to stab the hell out of each other. And they're going to stab the hell out of other people, too. It's going to be fun. It better be fun.
I hope.
I saw the Marvels, Marvel. You're on notice.
Yeah. I almost feel like it's like, yeah, Deadpool 3 is being made by Marvel Studios, but, like, let's face it, this is, like, different, though.
It kind of is because, at least, I don't know how much of it, but it's still the Fox X-Men universe.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're going home again.
Yeah, pretty much. And, like, I'd be fine with that movie just being, like, a finale to, like, this is, like, a finale for all the Fox stuff. We'll see what happens. Like,
I mean, if they still do Secret Wars, they'll probably bring Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds back, especially if the views the trailer got are any indication of how much money the movie might make.
I mean, it's Deadpool and Wolverine,
What if we get Deadpool and Wolverine too?
I mean, one step at a time.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm greedy. We've talked about
I know.
this. I want it all. I wanted Robert Pattinson the Batman and Michael Keaton Batman stuff over here. I wanted it. Just
Yeah.
like how I'm like, I got Godzilla -1 and Godzilla Kong stuff here. I want all of it. Give it to me. Just fuck you. Give it to me.
You know what? One other thing to end on that I noticed about this movie is, and I guess it was something weird, but it's like, did you notice Wolverine got hot claws in this movie?
Briefly.
Yeah, I was just like, because, he had those hot claws in the comics for a while when he came back to life. And I was just like, Wolverine has hot claws in this movie. I mean, like, it makes sense how he gets the hot claws because he gets them from, like, Deadpool's eye beams. But,
Yeah.
like,
It's just a visual coincidence.
I was like, hot claw Wolverine has been done in live action.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I guess there's one other thing we should point out, that this is a early CGI de-aged Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
The second time they did it first in X3, and then there's this, which I think looks worse. But not only that, it's also followed by what might be the worst visual effect in the entire movie.
Worse than the claws?
Possibly. The kids running in the fart just towards Professor X in his helicopter looks horrible.
Oh, man.
Look at that shot again, because it looks like none of that stuff is there. It's like there's a forest element, and then there's the kids running, and then there's the helicopter and the Professor X. None of that stuff was together. They didn't even film the kids in the woods. They all look composited in there. It all looks terrible.
Yeah.
It might be worse than the claws. I mean, the claws are bad, and just because you had real claws, why were there fake claws? But this is like, what is happening here? And there's like a sheen of fog to try to cover it up, but it doesn't cover it up, Chris. It looks terrible. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's 2024 Marvel bad.
I don't have a good eye for that type of stuff, but I will even
I don't
agree,
know,
like,
man. I feel like anyone can notice how bad that
Well,
was.
I was just going to say, like, just in general, I think the movie mostly does look bad. It sometimes is, like, way too dark in certain scenes.
There's definitely some wonky effects throughout. There's the
Yeah.
part where the logs fall on him, and it looks awkward. And then, like, we see the real logs, and they're completely different shapes and sizes to the CGI logs. Not consistent at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know. It's a movie I've seen multiple times. It's a movie I would probably watch again.
Look, here's the thing. Hugh Jackman's still fun to watch as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Even in the worst movie This is probably his worst movie, I think. I don't know, but damn it, he's a good Wolverine.
I come with you. I'm coming for blood. No law. No code of conduct. You point me in the right direction, you get the hell out of my way.
He nailed it.
He's played the character for like half the time the characters existed at this point, so...
Once Deadpool and Wolverine, that brings him up to 10 appearances as this character.
Yeah.
Which puts him past Robert Downey Jr., I think. Or, equal to Robert Downey Jr. And if he appears in Secret Wars, he surpasses Robert Downey Jr.
But Robert Downey Jr. will probably appear in Secret Wars.
I don't know. The way he's been talking lately, I think he just wants to forget about Iron Man.
What? Come on.
I don't know, man. He got I think Iron Man typecast him. Yeah, he's so rich because of it, but he's not enjoying himself as an actor.
He's going to get an Oscar for Oppenheimer.
We'll see.
Yeah. He's really good in that movie.
I gotta see it.
It's like one of those things where it's like, holy shit, that's Robert Downey Jr.? It's like, man, he's good. But anyway, I guess that's Out of Touch podcast for this week. Go watch X-Men Origins Wolverine, if you dare.
It'll make you appreciate the Deadpool movies and the other Wolverine movies a lot more.
My God, you ever shut up, pal?